This is a video of our day trip in July of 17 with Mike, Sean, and James, starting out in Rawer Flats. This is a long day trip from our home in Simi Valley. This is starting in the Rawer Flats area, and then it climbs up the fire roads here to the top of this ridge, and looking over then Bouquet Canyon off to our north, basically. And we come back down along the fire road and end up turning off on the ATV trail. You see Bouquet Reservoir occasionally on the right side here. We're going to end up in that canyon. So I come along the ridge. Here's the ATV trail. I think it's an advanced ATV and an intermediate motorcycle. It's a pretty steep trail. It's a little bit loose. It's a lot of fun to go down. I've never tried to come up. Did have a down in the weeds. I drove off the end of a hairpin curve a little too quick, so not too bad there, but really a beautiful descent down this mountain. It ends up crossing Bouquet Canyon Road, and we just go back up to the top of the road on Quarry Road. Now we're back up on top of the hill.
This is the hill we took Jordan down.
James is commenting that he and Jordan had been up here before on Jordan's 950 and James's dirt bike, but they also went on some much more aggressive single tracks. So we're climbing Quarry Road here, then back down the next fire road at the top of the ridge. A lot of good hill climbs, a lot of good traction. There's good rocks underneath most of this dirt. It's pretty easy to get up these hills, even with the big bikes. We down the next trail here. This is a power line access trail, and it's pretty rutted. You see, it's kind of taking it easy, making sure we don't run over each other, giving us each other some room. And again, just beautiful views. If you look off in the distance, you can see the canyon. Here's James doing a little bit of a slide. He got left. Gave me a bit of a tip to not go that way. He was in some pretty loose powdery stuff, so I took the right side and had a little bit better line through there. You can see his trail as he was dragging that tire. A little rockier on the right side, so those are just helps when you don't go first. This hill used to be washed out in a prior trip we came through here, and this was all collapsed. They built a concrete bridge across this. I think this is used for the power line access.
That's slippery.
We'll get down to the bottom of that canyon. I think this is the bottom of B Canyon, if I'm not mistaken, and then this goes back up. This is called City Highline Motorway. Goes through Cherry Canyon. A lot of loose stuff here. You see James got in trouble on the right. This is very loose sand. You hear this big hit here. That's not too bad. That's the next one, I guess. It's tough around these corners because it washes out, and if you go too close to the outside of the curve, there's just nothing there. So this trail had given us trouble in a prior trip, but you can see many of us had some difficulty. A lot of good technical riding here, and then additionally, as it went up the canyon, this South Portal Canyon, then up into Cherry Canyon, I think it is. Little sand, little water, just very, very fun. Here's a good hit. This is the one I was thinking of earlier. Keep your momentum up and don't go off that ravine. It's pretty nasty fall. So really pretty through here. This is through Spruce Draw and then back up the top of the canyon. Some additional hill climbs. Had some trouble with the rocks, a little skinny trails. Some of the guys had bikes or bags on their bikes. James and Sean and Mike, I guess all of them did except for me, I guess, had side bags on. So this got a little tricky. And this is a good example of that, where Sean got in the soft stuff, get on the right, and it drops off very fast. So it took all three of us to help lift him out of that rut. These bikes weigh about 500 pounds. So when they get stuck like that, it's not trivial to lift them back out. This is a good technique here to go over the ravine and lean the bike over. Don't try to lean back down the hill or you'll absolutely roll off. So it's a technique here. Lean left, do a 3-point turn backwards, and then continue. We weren't done having fun yet. We can see Mike here going to the same spot that Sean was stuck, demonstrating that technique. A little dirt bike, you can probably just whip around that corner, but not on these. And here again, just up the trail, the side rocks got in trouble with the bag width of the bike. James got in some soft stuff on the right front of the bike, nose over. Took us all some time to get the bike unstuck, but a lot of fun. And back up the top of the ridge. This is up towards Lake Hughes, looking up to the north here. Not quite sure what road this is on, but we're basically heading down towards Lake Hughes. Ran into some guys here with a brand new Africa Twin and a couple guys just out for a first dirt ride. I take advantage of some of these little side excursions on these trails. Otherwise, they're just less interesting fire roads. Going back down the hill. We stopped in at the Rock Inn for lunch. This is a super popular biker bar and restaurant. Not too busy on this day. Usually we're the only ones with adventure bikes here. This is primarily a Harley joint. So we show everybody how to get their bikes dirty. Then after lunch, went back up the road to the west to Bushnell Summit, and then along the fire roads and sawmill area. Really nice mid-altitude roads up here. To Libra Mountain. This is just along the ridge. It's probably around 4,000 or 5,000 feet elevation. And we continue to get farther to the west, and then we can look over the valley. The Interstate 5 would be down in that valley with views towards Pyramid Lake. So just spectacular views up here. In the springtime, this is all full of flowers. So in previous trips and videos, probably have repeated almost all these trails, but with a lot more wildflowers. But it's still pretty. That was Pyramid Lake off in the distance. So we descended the hill here down towards Quail Lake. Stopped to play with one of Sean's new acquisitions and a little side hill for safety. Had a good time doing a little target practice there. Mike taking a couple chances. I did as well. Then continued down the hill. This is all washed out from the winter rains. So many areas very sketchy around these corners. So you had to pay attention coming down. Would not want to get in that soft stuff and drive off. As you can see on the left, someone's put a steel barricade across there, but do not want to experience that. Here's another one. See the amount of water that came down these hills. Little loose sand there, so really pretty. You can see the Mike coming down the hill behind me on the switchbacks. We're heading down through Sandburg, appropriately named, and then down to the old interstate there that was a brief look before I-5 was built. We crossed through Gorman and took a left and got into Fraser Park on that brief highway, and then Fraser Mountain, and then got back off on the road back towards Ojai. Catal Road, I think this is. This is not very well traveled, and then all the way over to Highway 33, the Maricopa Highway, which is what this is. One of my favorites, down to Ojai. The south side of this is the section that burned in the recent Thomas fires, so we'll not be seeing this kind of gorgeous video from the south side of this route for some time, because it's all burned. In fact, it's still closed at this time. This is finally getting to this video in January of 2018, but it's just beautiful. This is Highway 33 again, just north of Ojai in the canyons, and then down the south side. So all of this burned. You can see the Los Padres National Forest, and here's the tunnels just north of Ojai. Always kind of cool to go through these. Then the last fun piece on the way home is getting through Ojai and the vineyards, and then making our way up this canyon. This is Grimes Canyon, just north of Moore Park. Heading home in the late afternoon. This is always a fun little excursion, particularly here when there's no cars in front of you. You can pick it up a bit, and just a beautiful, fun day with the guys. really nice to be able to make a day trip like this on a day like this.